in test. I'm in test mode. I'll in test.
Mine's spinning. Okay, I see chat there. Let me throw up my open. I'll throw my opening.
I already did my opening.
You didn't even wait for me.
I already did it, man. I did wait for you.
All right, you guys make sure you thumbs up and
hey guys, wow.
ring the bell so you can be notified. Okay, we should be live. If you guys can see us and hear us properly and video and audio streaming through properly, please let us know right now in the chat.
Yeah, let us know. I already got a bunch of comments, man. I'm like scrolling through them already. Like, holy cow, people were ready to go.
Yeah, there's a ton of comments, tons of thumbs up. Please, we're doing this simultaneous thing, Mac and I. We're crazy. Two crazy old dudes trying to surf the internet like youngsters.
I know, right? So this is being broadcast on both our channels right now. So, yeah, we did it once. We proved the concept, and now we're exploiting it. You remember when I asked you? Remember when I asked you how to pop up, how you're having people pop up their comments automatically? Now it's doing it, and I don't know how to turn it off.
Oh, you can't? You can't. Oh, it's just popping the comments in there?
Yeah, they're just popping. I guess here's the next button. I can probably just...
Yeah, I can select mine. So if you do add to broadcast, it selects it. But if you exit out, then it'll
go
so
away.
Gun Streamers here. I'm going to try to shout out some people real quick. Okay, let me just say this. We are live. This is episode 393 of the Who Moved My Freedom podcast. We're live with Mac. That's what we're calling it. And the subject is Trump gets serious about banning suppressors. We're going to talk to the one, the only Tim from Military Arms Channel about it. Go ahead, Mac.
Yeah, so guys, we wanted to talk about two things that are of interest, but man, while we were in the pre-chat before we went live, we came up with a bunch of other stuff we really kind of wanted to touch upon, but we're going to try to keep this not to 2 hours, maybe hour and a half, right? But we want to talk about AR15.com and the recent sale, and then what's most pressing, at least for me, is the fact that Trump now seems to be open to the idea of banning suppressors. So let's kick it off with that.
Seriously open to that. Seriously open. Let me just do one quick shout out. Armament and Axis gave us $2. He says hashtag jazz hands. Hi Tim, how's the finger? So you're gonna get a bunch of those questions.
Yeah, the finger is it's hard to see. I got a little light over there. It's hard to see. It's doing good.
Yeah, it didn't turn into a zombie.
No, not yet. I keep ripping it and messing with it. Yeah.
Yeah, don't put that finger anywhere it's not supposed to be.
I try to keep my finger right where it belongs. Away from the barrels of Barrett 50s.
Yeah, out of barrels, out of noses, out of, openings and orifices.
Wow, you've already got the super chat. No super chats on my end. So anyway, yeah. So what about this Trump thing, man? So every news report I find... So, okay, let's start off in case, for those of those that are watching, hey, Warrior Poet's on board with us. Hey, how's it going, John? We had the Virginia Beach shooting, and apparently the shooter, who shall not be named, used a suppressor on a .45 caliber handgun with an extended magazine per news reports.
Yeah, some kind of suppressor, we don't know whether it's legal or what's going on there, yeah.
So hey, we got a super chat, and I'll stick it in over there.
Yeah.
There we go.
What's yours?
So it's on the screen. It says it's just from SoCal Gunner. He's just being a good sport and
support. He did the same thing on my side. So shout out to SoCal Gunner. He gave $1 on my side. Thanks, man. We appreciate that. Thanks for the support.
So we had that whole thing go down, but every news report I see, they're describing it as a silencer-like device. They're not calling it a silencer or a suppressor. They're mixing the descriptions around where it's almost as if he had something other than a legitimate suppressor on the end of the gun. And regardless of that, Trump did a recent interview, and tell us what you found there.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, I think Trump, when this first came out, Trump was on his way to the UK, right?
Yep.
To meet with the Queen and all that nonsense. I don't believe in any kind of royalty or anything like that. It's bullshit. So anyway,
we don't cuss on my channel.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's bull caca. Okay, so anyway, he was on the way, and he was asked by reporters about it, and he said that we're going to take a look at that or something to those effects. Like, I don't like those. We're going to take a look at that.
I'm gonna pop something up here really quick that the viewers over here are going to see. So this is right off my iPhone, and it says, Trump says he's seriously looking at banning silencers. And now what's really, really scary about this is the wording Trump is using sounds exactly like the wording Trump used right after Vegas and his move to use executive fiat to ban bump stocks.
Yes.
He's talking just like he did then, and he has it in his mind. He's going to do it the exact same way, and this just goes right back to what I said back then. It's not about the stocks. It's about how they're going about doing this and
it's
what
scary.
They're doing.
He's actually talking to the same person, Piers Morgan. So
Yeah.
that's who he started the bump stock thing with. He's talking to Piers Morgan. He says that he does not. He says it several times. I don't like suppressors. I don't like those things. We're going to take a serious look at that. Yeah, I think he's doing exactly the same thing. And if he goes, he could just go ahead and do the executive order and have the ATF go in there and go, yeah, these are now machine guns.
Yeah,
like they did with the bump stocks.
Well, it might not classify them as machine guns, but because they're not, firearms, he'll find some way around the law because they're handled differently, and that's what really scares me, right? Because if you take a look at how the firearms that are regulated under the NFA, how they're regulated differently than silencers. So if you have an SBR or a machine gun or any other weapon, anything that's on a Form 4, other than a silencer, if you go out of state with that, because that's how they got the NFA passed, just through the Interstate Commerce Clause, if you go out of state with that, you have to ask the government for permission to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And if you take a suppressor out of state, there's no such requirement because it's not treated like a firearm. It's not a firearm under the NFA. So I can legally have a suppressor on a Form 4 in Indiana, and I can drive to Florida with it, and I'm not breaking any laws. That's allowed by the BATF because it's not considered a firearm. So that's how that gets really, really scary for me, is because, first of all, it's not a firearm in the eyes of the BATF. Trump and his AG or Attorney General are probably going to look at it that way. And therefore, he can just say, well, heck, with an executive order, I should be able to get rid of these things, no problem.
Yeah,
and boom,
they say it's not covered on the second. So
yep.
Yeah.
If I were the silencer manufacturers right now, I'd be pretty darn nervous. I mean, we sell silencers through Copper Custom, and I mean, it scares us. I mean, we sell a good number of them. Hunters use them a lot around here because
this is not like bump stocks. This is not like bump stocks. Lots of gun guys have suppressors. Some people are just getting into their first one. Lots of people start with 22s like I did. And then there's folks out there that have lots of these. They have these on lots of different guns. It's a scary thing. Let me do a couple of things here. Christian Grest gave us $5. He says Trump's thumbs down. But which thank you, Christian, for that. But Len Holt says, so we are reacting to more dribble from New York propaganda leftists. So I think that there's going to be some people out there that say we're overreacting. Trump said this thing once about suppressors. He's in an interview on record saying it many times in that interview. We already know that he did this same thing like you're saying, Mac, when it came to bump stocks. And now there's a law in effect that makes bump stocks on their own machine guns, and people who possess them, if you're busted with one of those things, you will become a felon. You'll get a $10,000 fine for each one. Why is that? Like, why are we, screaming that the sky's falling in?
Yeah, see, so here's, if he does the same thing with suppressors that he pulled off with bump stocks and changes the law, when bump stocks were originally sold, they were sold with the blessing of the ATF and they were sold legally. When Trump went and did his little dirty work, then they banned them. They told you to surrender, destroy your private property. So now they're taking property away from you without just compensation and without due process. And then they're retroactively applying the new regulation/law. So if they do the same thing with silencers, I don't even know how many silencers I own at this point. They're going to make me turn them all in or destroy them all because they're going to get banned? That's exactly what Trump's thinking right now based upon the wording that he used when he sits down with Piers, what's his name? That
Piers
goofball
Morgan.
that got kicked out of the United States because he's just like a far-left lunatic?
Yeah. this is a little bit insane. I think people have to realize this guy's the president, and he's done something by executive order. There's Democrats, so he's president up until we have the elections. He either wins, somebody else wins, whatever. Even if someone else wins, he's already set the precedent for this kind of stuff. So to think that, oh, well, this is impossible, this is never going to happen, we're not going to see that day, I think is a little bit crazy. I even saw Colin Noir tweeting to Trump saying, hey, Trump, if you think you're going to do what you did to bump stocks, gun guys aren't going to go for that over suppressors. I tweeted back like, yeah, we're not happy about that when it comes to bump stocks. That's a whole other different battle.
It is.
But, I don't think that we're out there unnecessarily trying to scare people. This is like a real thing. I think people need to get out there and make noise about this.
Trump's already done it. He's already done it. He's proved he's willing to do it. He proved he'll do it. And that's what's so scary about the interview where he's saying, yep, we're going to take a serious look about getting rid of him. Holy cow. And if we got to rely on the NRA to back us up and help us, we're screwed.
If you don't believe it, I'm going to pop up my screen here and show you guys. This is the truth about guns. These articles, you can find this everywhere. Truth about guns. You see him sitting down, Trump talking to Piers Morgan. There's a video there. You can play it, listen to it for yourself if you don't believe what we're saying. There's lots of news articles about this out there. Yeah.
And Paul, one of my commenters said the ATF knows you have them, right? So with the bump stocks, there were no serial numbers, there was no tracking. If they really wanted to go door to door, they would have to do a whole lot of investigative research, which they just don't have the manpower to do. But with suppressors, they're all registered. So they'll come right up, knock on your door or kick in your door. And it's really, really, really bad. And this kind of dovetails into something that you were talking about earlier before we started the live stream. And that was Trump's ATF director pick.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Canterbury. You want to talk about it?
No, go ahead. You're the one that brought it up.
I'll pop this up here. Let's see. Canterbury, ATF nomination. This tale doesn't have a happy ending for gun owners. Also on the truth about guns. You know what? I've got to applaud the gun blogs out there that actually cover politics. I know there's some that don't. And, I think we need to cover politics in this day and age. And I think this is from Rachel Malone. And this is basically her opinion. It says, to Chuck Canterbury, being your gun rights champion means that he supports the woman who agreed the right to possess a gun is clearly not a fundamental right. So this is what he said, and he supports the woman who said this. So it's a major problem that Canterbury has been nominated as ATF director. An anti-gunner sneaking into ATF's top position can do a lot of damage to your right to keep and bear arms. Yep. And if he manages to convince gun owners that they have nothing to worry about, there's nobody left to push back on his treachery. You can go on in it, but I won't read it. Yeah,
I think it gets the point across very well. I'm sitting here right now. This is a rifle that I have for my son, and I have a silencer on it because it's just a little Tipman 22.
Yeah, very nice.
But he shoots that rifle all the time, and he likes shooting it because it's silenced and it's more palatable. One of the hardest things for new shooters to get around is the boom, the bang, the crack of a firearm. And Brownells did a great little meme that they posted on Instagram that everybody else picked up and ran with. And they showed what the decibel ratings were for various things and where a suppressed gunshot fell. So there's a misconception perpetrated by mostly Hollywood and people not understanding reality versus theatrics. People think that silencers truly mean, and yes, that's their legal definition, so it's not wrong to call them a silencer. That's what they are under U.S. law. But they think that silencers are like Hollywood quiet, like it's just a pts, and there's no bang. No, it's right at the threshold of being what OSHA considers hearing safe for one impact noise for a 24-hour period. They're loud. Now, it's just under the threshold of being hearing safe, so people like myself use suppressors to go hunting. 22s do reach, if you use subsonics in a 16-inch barrel and a silencer, they can get Hollywood quiet. But any caliber of any substance, it's going to be loud, and it can still damage your hearing, and it sure as heck isn't going to keep somebody from, down the hallway from you from hearing a gunshot. So they're misrepresenting suppressors in video or in the news reports already. I heard on the news driving into the shop today that they were likening the sound of a suppressed handgun to a nail gun. And then they had a nail gun firing. And of course, that's not going to carry over the speakers in a car very well. They're purposely trying to mislead people to get them on the bandwagon of banning these things. And we were so close to getting them off the registry. And then this happens. And now it's going to go the complete opposite direction.
Yeah, and our politicians let us down with that. Let me get to a couple of things real quick here.
Oh, man, that dude was...
Yeah. Richard Hughes says... he gave us a couple of bucks. He says, Piers Morgan worked to get rid of cans in England, ? So I know some people are asking about that because SoCal Gunner says, can't people in England buy suppressors? I can't barely buy ammo here in California. Yeah, they can have suppressors. We looked it up. Yeah, I think I probably still have it up somewhere here, Mac. So
yeah, so we were looking that up in our research. So they can have suppressors. And there's many places in Europe that suppressors are, if not required, it's socially required.
Yeah.
To use them at the firing range. If you show up with a rifle and it's not suppressed, you're annoying the people next to you that are firing also. So it's kind of a courtesy to have them. So, and they're not regulated in many places. Like in Switzerland, they're not regulated. It's not a firearm. It's not anything. It's like going to the store, or the car store, and buying a brand new ZR1 Corvette, and you pick it up and it has no mufflers, and it's deafening you and everybody around you as you drive it down the road. But you applied, you paid your $200 tax and you applied for your Form 4 to get your silencers for the motor. So then 8 months to 12 months later, you can put your mufflers on your Corvette, so you're not deafening yourself and everybody around you. I mean, that's what it's like.
Yeah, and Norway says no license or permits necessary, by the way.
So Norway, another European country where
in Denmark, it has to be licensed, but it is legal to own for hunting. And we can go on here, but in the UK it says the owner's firearm certificate will need to show permission for the purchase of a sound moderator.
Okay.
That's what they call it, and also for which firearm it's intended. So I think there are some regulations in England, for example, but you can have them.
Yeah.
So and
they're talking about taking them completely away from us. So we went from having the ASA and having at least two bills in Congress being considered to get suppressors, either regulated less or completely off the NFA, and now we have this happen, and now we have and here we have a president that campaigned on saying the 8-year assault on your Second Amendment rights is over at the NRA convention, and he has done more damage to the Second Amendment in his 3 years, than Obama did in 8 years, and that wasn't for a lack of trying by Obama. It's just that gun owners were more active. Right now, everybody is asleep. They're like, oh, he's a Republican, he's going to protect us. No, he's actively trying to take away our rights. Every time something bad happens, he's like, yeah, I tell you what, if this guy, they may even look at the magazine. I mean, all it's going to take is a reporter getting in his ear and saying, he had extended magazines too. And he'll say, yeah, I don't think I like those either. Yeah. I mean, where does it stop?
No Republicans, no politicians are protecting us. We gave these guys a supermajority. We gave them the White House. We gave them Congress, we gave them the Senate, and we asked for suppressors to come off the NFA. They kept saying, wait till the midterms. By the midterms, they pretty much lost the Senate, right?
Yeah.
So they had the opportunity to do something here. They didn't do it. Trump came in and put in what I consider gun control. And people think it's not a big deal. Because it's bump stocks. Now we're seeing more stuff.
Now, this is what we warned everybody about. This is exactly what we warned you about, and you didn't listen. And everybody kept saying, well, let's don't fall on our swords over bump stocks. And we kept saying, it's not about the stocks. Look at how he's doing this, and look at what he's doing. And nobody cared because it was an accessory that everybody thought was a stupid toy. They didn't see the bigger picture. Now, I'm betting a whole lot more people see the bigger picture. I'm hoping, wake up, please, people. It's important.
I don't know if this is going to wake them up. Brian Quick is asking, if silencers get banned, will this be a last straw for the gun community?
I mean,
I'll let you.
I mean, how do you predict that? I mean, I don't know. I'm not itching for a civil war. I don't tell people that that's what I hope and dream for. I don't want my kids to go through that. I don't want to be at war with my neighbors. But I mean, it almost seems as though our government is pushing every button necessary to invoke a civil war, because right now partisan politics are so divisive that Democrats won't talk to Republicans and Republicans won't talk to Democrats. They literally hate each other. They want to hurt each other. And it's that type of divisiveness that I've never, to the degree that we see it today, I've never seen before in my life. And I don't identify with Republican or Democrat. I'm completely libertarian, strict constitutionalist. I think they're both screwed in the head. But they hate each other so much that tensions are flaring. I mean, we have family members unfriending each other on Facebook over political differences. And that's the setting that's the kindling, just waiting for the spark that will ignite that civil war. And I never want my children to see that. We got to stop this and walk it back. And we got to get everybody thinking it's about freedom. It's not about if you agree with me or not. It's about living free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let me just get this one in there. This is from Hooten in the House. He's running for local office here in Florida. I recommend that one of the things we could do here before we get to that stage, we need to get some Second Amendment people into office. We need to try to help these guys. Hooten in the House is one of those guys, Cody Hooten. He says, glad to be back from taking a 2-week break, handling some personal and political things, especially having Tim on. And that's from Hooten in the House. I recommend you guys go out there and support him, especially if you're here in Florida, because we need to get pro-Second Amendment people into positions of power here.
And we have to get them into, and people always ignore the state level and the local level. Don't just focus on the federal elections. Focus on your state and your local elections, like the sheriff. Very critical elections.
Yeah, very. There's so many things, man. Don't ever let yourself think that these kind of things don't matter. You know, I think every single thing matters, and everything you give up to these guys, they're going to use. What Trump has already done, I know, like Mac, you're on one of the lawsuits against with the whole bump stock thing.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I am. So the GOA had filed a lawsuit, and I am, part of that lawsuit.
Yeah, and the reason is that if we let that stand, it's not just Trump that could use that.
No, that's the scary thing. And so this is how it gets even worse, right? So Trump takes silencers away, and then he loses his election or goes out after his 8 years are up. Then we get a truly anti-gun, rabidly anti-gun administration. And all they got to do is just repeat what Trump did at least twice. And everything that the GOA and myself and others were saying becomes true. They'll ban semi-automatics because they're readily convertible to machine guns. It's a true statement. I can take a semi-automatic and make it into a machine gun with hand tools. It's not rocket science. And they'll use that same wording and same mechanism that Trump has already misused to take away semi-automatics, to take away 30-round magazines, take away drum magazines, take away semi-automatic belt feds, take away silencers. Nobody was listening when we were talking about bump stocks. I pray that you're listening now.
Yeah, are we not talking loud enough? Are we still being drowned out by folks like the people that the NRA guys or the other organizations out there that we think are on our side, but they're not really on our side? They don't want to talk about these things because I don't know. I'm asking myself, like, are we not saying enough? Are we not trying to warn people? Are we not trying to show people these things?
I mean, I think in the long run, I'm very grateful to have the following I have on YouTube and in social media. But when you take a look at even myself, we're not that big. You know what I mean? It's not like we really, and we're kind of preaching to the choir here, right? Mm-hmm. We're not out on national television being pumped into everybody's home at 9:00 at night on national news, able to spread our message. We're really confined. And I think I'm up to 950,000 subscribers. I'll bet you maybe 1,000 people are watching this stream right now. Our voices just aren't that loud, I don't think. But we need to, when we start talking about it, we need those 1,000 to go tell everybody they know and post things on their social media pages, then their friends do it, and that's how it spreads like wildfire, and that's how we defeated the second assault weapons ban attempt during the Obama administration, was through social media. It was because, social media people started talking about it, it kind of cascaded, and that conversation spread through social media, and we had a groundswell. And that's the only thing I can think of that we can do, man. I don't know why gun owners are just sleeping right now.
I think there's a false sense of security because we have Trump.
Yeah.
They just believe that somehow Trump's on their side. SoCal Gunner says Mac needs to go back on InfoWars, raise some hell with Alex.
Well, Alex is an NRA supporter, and I don't think Alex wants me on his show anymore.
Oh, really?
I don't support the NRA.
Yeah. So, yeah. And then he got deplatformed anyway.
Yeah,
so
I feel sorry for him. Here's what's funny about me is I'm not a hypocrite, or at least I go out of my way not to be one, right? Mm-hmm. So if you take a look at, I believe in states' rights. I believe that states have the right to secede from the union, because nowhere in the Constitution does it say they can't, right? Mm-hmm. So California, when Trump got elected, they wanted to secede from the union. I support that.
Yeah,
they're doing it for the wrong reasons, but they used to make fun of me because I was a secessionist. When Texas wanted to secede, I supported them. If they truly have the votes and they want to leave the union, then that's their right, and I supported that. But they made fun of me. But then when they say, hey, we want to secede because Trump's president, I'm not a hypocrite. You have the right to secede. But many people are hypocritical. They say one thing, but they don't really mean it, because when the tables are turned, they change their mind. I'm not like that. And so
also, why do you have to say that you like the NRA? Why should there be that litmus test? If Alex Jones or anyone else wants to support the NRA, hey, more power to you. But we also have the right to say, hey, you guys need to take a look at this. These guys are opening the door to this.
Exactly.
And when we said that, there were lots of people, including some gun guys that say some crazy stuff. I'm trying to see how I'm trying to be not curse and all that.
Yeah. See, I don't want to call out any other social media folks because.
But there were people. I'm not calling anyone out specifically, but there were lots of people saying we're crazy. These guys are playing 3D chess. We're going to see why this is a good thing. This is going to stop them.
Yeah, Trump's playing it. He's thinking 5 steps ahead, and really he's going to pull a fast one at the end, and he's going to get machine guns off the registry. Yeah.
Yeah. Give them the bump stocks, man. Then you'll be able to have all these other things. No, they will take, and they will keep taking. The Democrats aren't even supporting Trump on this. So just imagine that. This is what they say they want, but they're not even supporting him, because what they want is really draconian. And he's just helping them set up so they can go right in, because you got to see what happens here with the Supreme Court. If the Supreme Court does not take this up or does not back us up, if they decide to take up the case with the bump stocks, if they say, no, this is totally fine, that is the end.
So here's the problem. So everybody's hoping, Trump seated two SCOTUS appointments, right? So we have Gorsuch and Kavanaugh. Neither one of them are strong Second Amendment supporters. They're very, very wishy-washy. And right after Kavanaugh got in, do you remember how they were saying that Kavanaugh was going to immediately undo Roe versus Wade and all this other stuff, that women were just they'd never be able to get abortions again if he got in, and the sky was falling. Mm-hmm. He gets in, they hear a case, and he actually sides on the side of pro-choice.
Yeah.
So it's all hysteria gemmed up by.
You don't know what these guys are going to do. You don't know no one knows what these guys are going to do.
No, they don't. But all you can go is look at their past, and neither one of those guys are true constitutionalists. And Gorsuch, they say is, but I don't really know. All I know is neither one of them, if you go back and look in their records, have any history of being staunchly Second Amendment, like purists. The closest we had was Scalia, and he passed away. But even he screwed us. So,
what do you think? What are the chances that we have of this being taken up anytime soon by the Supreme Court? I mean, I know you don't have all the answers. Yeah,
it's going to drag out for a year or more, maybe 2 years.
A year or more.
Yeah, we got to get through the Sixth Circuit, where we got to be heard by the Sixth Circuit. If they don't decide in our favor, then we have to appeal to the Supreme Court, and then they either hear the case or they don't. If they don't hear the case, then the lower court's ruling stands, and bump stocks and how they were banned become law. Or become accepted, and therefore Trump can use the same mechanism. President Oprah Winfrey can use the same mechanism to ban anything they want with the stroke of a pen, doing a complete end run around Congress. And it's that point where, me personally, you're getting me dangerously close to the red, where I'm ready to invoke the Second Amendment. And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. So let's see. Armament Axis says, Tim's my age, you're a pinch younger, Hank. I've been seeing the one chip at a time against 2A all my life. When do we say no more and make a stand? I think we've all been saying no more. We've all been trying to take stands. We're all trying to avoid that ultimate thing that we're not going to be able to go back from. Once we get into that situation, we're not going to go back from it. Everyone's life is going to change. And I'll be honest with you. If you see that right now gun guys aren't activated, that means most people are actually not even ready for that. They just believe, like, hey, I give my money to the NRA. Trump's the president, everything's good. There's no way that this is going to become a thing. And then eventually you convince yourself, what do we need the suppressors for? We don't need suppressors.
Yeah, right.
And then that goes away. And then the next thing you know, they're like, no more AR-15s. You can't have a rifle. And this guy used handguns.
Right. No, it's got to.
We need handguns.
We got to get the people out. We got to mobilize the base. We got to get people excited about this in a way that they're angry. And we need to start having protests, public protests, even a march on Washington if Trump moves forward with this. Because if we don't, he will have used this thing twice now to basically do an end run around Congress and screw gun owners. And we got to stop it. We got to act now, because he's already done it with bump stocks. Great. You don't want that silly device. You never had one. You never wanted one. Awesome. How about silencers? There's still going to be half of the gun owners that say, well, who wants a silencer? Never wanted to buy one. They can't have them in my state anyway. I don't care. But next, they're going to go after semi-automatics. And now you have 75% of gun owners going, oh, wait a minute. How is this happening? Well, you were asleep for the last 2 years while they screwed over everybody else. But now when they came for your gun, all of a sudden it's an issue.
Yeah. And I think, a big part of this is the two-party system that we have. We need to get upset, like the folks out there in England are getting upset that they haven't gotten Brexit. They voted for, what was that, a year and a half ago?
I know,
right?
They
voted for Brexit. They can't get it. And then they went and formed a party like 6 weeks before they had their elections. And they didn't take over government, but they got a big chunk. We need to start doing that. We need to realize that the two-party system here does not work. I think the Republican Party just usurped a lot of the Tea Party people that got mad the last time around and pacified them by giving them positions in the Republican Party, and now we don't really have that. We don't have those people activated anymore. They're not activists. They're not out there really fighting.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
All right, man. So I think we've actually covered that fairly well. We're 32 minutes into the stream. Let's. I'm
going to start a timer here so that we can get to some.
Yeah, I want to talk about some good stuff. I mean, I'm good for an hour and a half or whatever. I don't know how many people watch 2-hour streams, but.
I usually do 2 hours.
Do you? Okay. Hey, I'm good for however long the conversation goes, as long as we have good engagement with the folks watching.
Are you getting comments on your end that you want to talk about?
I'm trying to keep up with them, man. I got. I don't even know. It gives me a number here.
Yeah. So let me just throw
thousands of comments already.
Yeah, there's a lot of comments. Lots of people in the chat. Please, if you're in these chats on my side or Mac's side, please thumbs up. We appreciate that. Also, share it. Make your comments here. Did you see a couple of days ago in Australia? Here's a headline. Let me see. I could probably throw this up on the screen for people who, for some reason, don't believe. Australia reels from worst rampage killing in decades for a country thought to have solved this issue. Remember that? Australia supposedly wasn't going to have any of this stuff anymore because they made some laws. But there was I think there was at least 4 people killed in the city of Darwin by a guy that was a criminal.
Yeah.
He had a device on his ankle. He had one of those ankle devices. Wasn't supposed to have a gun. They made all that stuff illegal.
Yeah. Well, look what just happened in Japan a few days ago. They had a madman run up to a bus stop, killed 2 or more school children, and wounded like 14 before he took his own life. What are they going to do in Japan now? Ban kitchen cutlery? I mean, literally, I was talking to an English friend. Now, those of you watching that are English, correct me if this story is wrong, but this is just what I was told. If you go to a store and buy cutlery, You have to take the cutlery, put it in your car, drive it straight home. Don't stop anywhere else. Take it and put it right in your house. If you go off and go get a pint of beer and then go home and the police catch you with the knives in your car and you weren't actually going home, you could be arrested for something. And if that's actually true, that's absolutely ridiculous, but that's where they're taking things.
Wow. That's, yeah, you're not going to be able to have anything. I could just tell you that. You won't be allowed to even practice martial arts. I just want to throw this up quickly on the screen. This is in USA Today. It's an opinion from Alan Gottlieb. It says, no gun law would have prevented Virginia Beach tragedy.
Yep.
Okay, so just think about that. I'm not going to read the whole article here just because we don't have that kind of time. But just look at things like that. There's people who realize that what are the laws going to do? These laws you can make all the laws you want to. People aren't going to follow it. We're dealing with broken human beings here that want to hurt people. This guy had nothing that indicated that he was going to break like this and decide to destroy other human beings. He was employed. He had a good record. He bought these guns legally. We don't know what's up with the suppressor. But, he did all of that stuff and then just snapped one day and no one was able to do anything about it. Glock Shooter 79 says, keep up the good work, guys. I'm doing my best to cover this, too. I hope everyone with channels talks about this.
We have to, guys. We have to. And I'm not going to pick on my peers that don't or won't. Some guys just don't want to be political. That's fine. I will be, and I hope others follow in our lead, Hank, because we need to be political. I actually had a really good comment from a super chat. Okay. Hold on, I'm just throwing them up here. I'm trying to reward the super chat guys with putting them up on the screen. Can you give your thoughts on the echo triggers? Okay, so what I think about the echo triggers, I don't want to talk about them. I don't want the media to find out about them because I still use them, and I still make the NFA nut kicker videos and joke around about them. But that's just to our own audience. We're talking to our own people. What if somebody uses one like in a shooting like in Vegas, then they'll become in the national spotlight and they'll be banned just like the bump stocks were a year later. So they're not protected. Now they're actually exempted. In the ATF exempted them in their ruling letter of the bump stock ban. So currently they're exempted, but the ATF can change its mind anytime it wants to. Yeah, and they're also banned in some places. Yeah, some states banned them. So that's already a thing. Here's the thing that I wish that I would say about this, and there's several companies out there. I wish that companies in the firearms industry would somehow get up and fight. It's not good enough to just give your money to the NRA and think that the rights are covered. You have to put some money into this, put your time, your effort, your resources. Lots of you guys have social media. Don't sleep on this. Don't just sit around and wait for what you manufacture to become illegal or to be deemed illegal. Right. Do something to fight about this, please. If you don't know what to say, at least support the guys that are saying things that you agree with. Yep. I don't think it's just good enough. I don't know, Mac. For a long time, one of the things I wanted to talk about, and we don't have to do it now, but for a long time, I think in the firearms industry, there's lots of people that just think, here's all you have to do, give money to the NRA. Yeah, people used to think that, and people still say that. Yeah. The NRA is not your friend. I mean, the corruption in the NRA has finally overflowed into the public domain, stuff that we've been saying for years. They're horridly corrupt. They're an inept organization. They exist to make money. They exist to make a handful of people filthy rich, and they use your rights as pawns to enrich themselves. So they'll allow certain laws to pass, anti-gun laws to pass, so they can send you mail going, look, if you don't send us money, we won't be able to stop this, when they're the ones making it happen. We've been telling you this for a long time, and nobody was listening, but now it overflowed into the public domain when Oliver North resigned. Pete Brownell resigned, but he was very quiet about it. Oliver North was not quiet about it, and he said, I have dirt on Wayne LaPierre, and if he doesn't resign, I'm going to make this public, and it backfired, and they claimed he was being blackmailed, whatnot, but... Yeah. Alan West resigned as well. Alan West, yep. Yeah. Timothy Knight wrote a very scathing article. Timothy Knight's a great board member. Pete Brownell resigned from the board, so he was a board member for over a decade. He resigned from the board, and he stepped down from the presidency over the corruption. So it's bad, people. And I was inside for a short time and I saw it firsthand, and nobody was listening to us. Now they know. So you need to support groups like the GOA. The Gun Owners of America have a long 40-year track record of no compromise. They have never once backed NICS checks like the NRA has pushed for NICS. They made NICS happen. They wrote the law. They did the NICS fix, which expanded the NICS invasion of privacy. And then you have board members like Ted Nugent out there boasting about how great the NICS is and how great the NICS fix was. And you just got to stop and take a step back and do a little research and support true gun groups. The GOA has 2 million members. They could easily be 5 million. If you say, well, what happens if the NRA goes away? We're all going to lose our gun rights. Well, you have your gun rights despite the NRA's meddling. You don't have them because of them. You have them despite them. But secondly, if you don't give your money to the NRA, give it to GOA, because they're actually going to fight for you. Yeah. Eric Pratt is a school teacher by day and a gun activist. I don't know how he finds the time.
Yeah.
Converse that to Wayne LaPierre, who has $39,000 in suit expenses in one day and flies to the Bahamas on private jets with your money. And then you look at the GOA and they're actually using your money to fight. Anyway, I get pissed. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, you have the right to be pissed. I think more people need to be pissed. You know, I'm happy that you're still pissed, man. I don't want to see you get put out here. So I want to thank the people who actually do support us. Thankfully, we have this versus the last time around where we didn't have things like where folks out there could really get out and support us, because, and we're going to talk about this later, places like YouTube, Facebook, and all that kind of stuff, they're coming down pretty strong on us, and they're just getting started.
Let's talk about the AR-15.com thing real quick. I don't think there's a whole lot of news there, but that was pretty big. Okay. And then let's move over into what YouTube's doing, because that kind of is breaking as we were setting up the stream.
Right. So the AR-15 thing, we did talk about this yesterday, but I would really like to see what you think about it. Let me see where.
So basically, what happened is there's a holding group that's owned by Frank and Pete Brownell, and it's the same holding company that owns Brownells, the famous Brownells. They acquired AR-15.com, and now AR-15.com is continuing on. And this is probably a good thing for AR-15.com. I mean, if you take a look at it, we don't have a whole lot of places in social media where we can go. We're constantly under attack, and we'll talk about that in the next segment with YouTube's new Adpocalypse #2 and other things that they're doing. But, you know, the fact that the Brownell family has stepped in, acquired AR-15.com, that should give them additional financial resources. Maybe they can blow that up into an alternative that everybody else has been trying to do, something I tried to do with Full 30 and other companies have tried, and maybe they can do it with their backing. Now, I will say that I got banned from AR-15.com, and this is comical. I got banned because I was hypocritical of the NRA, not hypocritical, but condemning. I'm sorry?
Yeah, critical,
not hypocritical. Critical of the NRA on AR-15.com, and I kept pointing in posts. I kept pointing out their flaws and how they're lying to people. And Beekeeper banned me because I was not supporting the NRA and because I supported the GOA. So I can't even post on AR-15.com. But that aside, I don't care. My being banned is minuscule to the greater good. And I think this might be a great thing for AR-15.com, and I hope that it truly is, because it should be a good thing for the gun community as a whole, in my opinion.
Yeah. ARFCOM, unban Mac.
I'm not even asking for that, man. Look,
I'm asking,
it's so insignificant.
I know you're not.
Them banning me is not something they should be worried about. They need to focus on growing and making a louder voice, getting more gun owners involved, and building a social media platform. Maybe I'll get back in someday. I don't know. I know Ed Avila, the father of the Avila family that built AR-15, and him and I are actually still friends. But, you know,
he doesn't have.
I'm not gonna ask for my membership back. If they want to give it back, great. If not, I mean, I'm not going to apologize for being anti-NRA. If they can't accept that, then, I mean, Pete Brownell and Frank Brownell just bought him out, and, I mean, Pete's never said he's against the NRA, but he stepped down from the board and resigned his presidency. It's probably safe to assume that he probably doesn't like the NRA right now either, but whatever.
Yeah. I mean, and when he did step down from the board recently, this was last week because we talked about it, remember? Yeah. When you were on last week, he said that there's some other things that he wants to pursue here, and I think we could see that now in what is it, the Second Adventure, the name of the company, the holding company for these things.
2A Adventure or something like that. It has a Second Amendment type name.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing for companies. I'd like to see more companies step up to the plate here and support things like AR15.com, alternatives to YouTube, alternatives to Facebook, alternatives to Twitter, alternatives to Instagram. Support those things. If you intend to, they're going to go after every single thing they can to strangle out the Second Amendment. So, we're doing something that's covered by the Constitution, but it means nothing if you can't talk about it.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, so
we have to have our voice.
Companies need to support this. Yes, they need to support this. I think it's a good thing that Brownells is deciding to do that, but Brownells, I know they've been out there for a while, and they're good guys.
They are.
I'm a fan of them. I like them.
I consider many of their friends, including Pete Brownell. I think that Pete is salt of the earth, and Roy and Josh and Ryan and the others that are there that I interact with fairly regularly. These are true Midwest values people. They're from Iowa. Every time we drive home to Kansas, we go through Iowa just so we can stop at the Brownell store off the highway there and say hi to our friends. And they're not paying me to say that, so I'm not on their payroll. But I truly support Brownells. I support Pete Brownell. He and I communicated all throughout the whole Vegas thing, all the way up through his resignation from the presidency. I haven't talked so much to him lately, but I'm telling you, he thinks like you and I do, Hank. He believes, and he has sent me more than one text message saying, I fully support you and what you're doing. So that says a lot, even though it's a sentence.
Yeah, and I don't know how many people know this, but other than Mac and myself, Brownell supports lots of gun guys out there.
They do.
Lots of gun guys.
And for the gun guys that need that support to doing what we do to make a living, they help them. And to me, that means a lot. Brownells is probably one of the single most positive, influential forces within the firearms community that there is. I believe that wholeheartedly.
They can't stand alone, though. And this is the thing. They cannot stand alone. And if you're the owner of a firearms company out there, you have to just please realize this. This is directly connected to whether or not you're going to be able to have an industry going forward. Okay?
Right.
And if you're deciding that you don't care, maybe you're hoping that we get another, like you were waiting for the Hillary bump or something like that. These guys have figured that out. They've figured that out, and we're not necessarily going to get that if they start going after things. We're not going to get everyone running out there to buy suppressors. I'm not saying to anyone, go out there and buy up all the suppressors in the world. They've figured all this out. They've gotten rid of grandfathering stuff. They've figured out how to just make this thing illegal, and you have to destroy it and get rid of it. So what you need to do is you cannot just have your industry and have machines and build stuff and think you're going to be able to put it out there and sell it when these guys are coming after this entire industry and this entire way of life and the Constitution every day. You cannot sit back. If you really believe in, if you don't believe in it, fine. Right? I don't want to waste my time talking to those guys. But for the people out there who say they really believe in this, do something.
I wanted to address this really quick. So Edward here, you should see it on my screen, says, need something at Copper Custom where customers can directly support the GOA when they make a purchase. Guys, if you go to Copper Custom, even if you buy a Mac patch for $3.99 or whatever the price is, at checkout, you can opt to become a free GOA member when you purchase. Anything you purchase on Copper Custom's website at checkout, check that free membership. We take care of that for you. You will become a free member, and we hope that you will continue your membership after that first year. Also, Copper Custom got in a bunch of Leo trade-ins, and we made a post on Instagram, and it was very successful. And I think it's still ongoing. It may be on the website. I don't get too much involved in that. I don't work at the store all that much. I'm a full-time social media guy. But we're donating $10 from every long arm sold directly to GOA. So if you buy one of those police trade-ins, you're directly donating $10 to GOA. And at the checkout, get your free 1-year membership. Yes, Copper and Mac, I mean, we're tied together. I do have a financial stake, ownership stake in Copper Custom, but my business partner and I are extremely pro-Second Amendment, and we're always looking for ways to support the Second Amendment community financially and, of course, through what we do in social media.
Yeah, you're pretty lucky with your business partner, man. Yeah.
We actually hooked up the California gun owners.
Here.
We did we bought a bunch of their highway patrol, the CHIPS pistols, and we sold them. And these are guns that couldn't even be sold in California because they weren't on the roster. We sold them, and we took a portion of every single gun sold and donated it to the gun owners of California. And they gave a nice. I have it hanging over my office desk. They sent us a thank you letter for that. We're always looking for ways to try to support this effort because it's one thing to talk about it. It's another thing to actually do something. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but dang it, I'm trying to do everything I can. I want other people to join me. I'm on a lawsuit. We're actively Copper Custom and Military Arms Channel. We're working together to donate to GOA, and I donate every month personally to GOA. And we're constantly making these videos. And Hank, I know you're active too. And it's a lifestyle, and it's all encompassing. I wake up in the morning thinking, look at the news and see what happens. And I'm thinking, what can I do? I want more gun owners to think that way because we need people that are passionate about this, or we're going to lose our rights.
Yeah, we're members of GOA. We encourage other people to do that. We check with the guys from GOA. We actually have some of the guys from GOA come on from time to time. When they send out alerts and things like that, we put them on our social media. We really all need to get into this. Yes. And before, I've got some comments here I want to get to, but before I get to that, I know Mac doesn't want to toot his own horn, but this is something I think as part of, I wanted to talk to you about the industry, and this is the thing, like the industry has to change, and the guys like you that have gun stores need to do it differently. I think you are doing it differently. Maybe some people need to look at the way that you're operating your store, that you're out there finding people really good deals, you're finding ways to connect people with, not just to get this good deal and just, you buy something awesome, which is great on its own, but help them support the cause, the ability to continue to own these things. And I would like to see more people, like we were talking about the big side of the industry, on the storefront side of it, it would be great to see more people do that. I know everyone can't get out there and be a social media, godfather like you are.
No, please stop. I'm just one guy two guys. Jason's now a full-time part of it, but we're just a couple of guys with cameras, man. We try to do everything we can, but
there's guys out there they can reach out to if they can't do it, right? There's gun YouTubers all over the country, including in California. Yeah, so they can reach out to these guys, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Just get involved, guys. Just get involved. Yeah. Organize, do everything at the grassroots. That's what the anti-gunners are doing. They're starting to work at the state level and focusing less at the federal level and focusing at the state level, and they're being very successful. We talked about this in the last stream, so I don't want to go too far down that path again. Yeah. Watch our last stream. We talk extensively about that. All right, what else do we want to talk about? We had a couple other things. Oh, you know what? Let's talk about YouTube and what they're up to. So let me, I'm going to switch my screen around here really quick. I'm going to put you in a little window, and I'm going to pop down here, and so my guys should be able to see something that I saw in the news today. YouTube to remove thousands of videos pushing extreme views. So not only did this post, this is a news article, I think from the New York Times. I actually cropped that part out of the image. I probably should have left it there. But YouTube is cracking down once again, and this is a never-ending process. YouTube is forever, and the same thing with Facebook, the same thing with Twitter, the same thing with Instagram. Those of us that make a living and work in this realm, we're being discriminated against because our political views don't align with theirs. Now, in this case, they're saying that they're trying to get rid of neo-Nazis and white supremacy and stuff like that. And that's great for the headline, but the reality is they catch people like us that talk about politically hot button items like firearms. So we get caught up in this. They're saying they're going after Nazis, but they come after us, and none of us are racist or support that ideology at all. We're actively against it, but we get caught up in these little purges.
Yeah, we're going to be under, I've got it up on my screen as well. It says YouTube announces plans on Wednesday to remove thousands of video channels and that advocate neo-Nazism, white supremacy, other bigoted ideologies, in an attempt to clean up extremism and hate speech on its popular service. So, that other bigoted ideologies, don't be surprised of who's going to fall into these different categories. And this is just what they're putting out there. They also have secret rules.
Oh, they do. They have rules that you don't even know are in existence that you'll get hit with, and they'll try to take you down over them. Several channels lost their channels because they did something that violated these unpublished made up on the fly rules. And, they had to fight to get their channels back. And at some point, we're not going to get our channels back. We've battled that, Hank. I mean, how many times have we been on the phone like, man, did you see what YouTube did? And one time I took all my videos offline just to stop it because I was traveling when they were doing it. They're constantly coming after us. I have a shot up on my screen right now. I don't know if you don't follow Louder with Crowder, Steven Crowder. Please do. He has a great YouTube channel, and he also does a lot of good tweeting. So he said in one of his tweets,
Mug Club.
What's that, man?
Mug Club.
Oh yeah, right. The Mug Club.
The
Crowder Mug Club. Just spoke with YouTube. Confirmed the second Adpocalypse is here, and they're coming for you. More details to follow. Stay tuned. And he's been tweeting a number of tweets about that, and so it's been really, really interesting to see. He says he has lawyers involved. They're looking at it. But so what was Adpocalypse? Adpocalypse happened a couple of years ago, which pushed us to Patreon. We're not industry supported. We're supported by you guys. Me and Jason earn a living by making videos for our viewers, and the Patreons fund that operations. We couldn't go forward without our Patreons because YouTube took away about 75 to 80% of our revenue. They blacklisted us. We get, every time we put a video up, we get a little gold $, which is ironic. They would use the color gold as if we were getting paid. If it's green, you're getting paid. If it's gold, it's limited or no ads. And then there's gray, which is you're just cut off, and completely. So what we earn from YouTube is nothing. It won't even buy a case of ammo a month. So I couldn't make a mortgage payment with it or anything like that. I certainly couldn't buy a new computer or a new camera or anything that we need to run the channel with what I make on YouTube anymore. So that was the Adpocalypse. And what they had done is they'd taken firearms and conservative speech and all sorts of people and blacklisted us, put us in a bucket, and we were demonetized. And when I say demonetized, roughly, depending on who it is and what they talked about, anywhere between 60 to 80% of your revenue was clipped and taken away from you. We still look, if I look back 2 years ago, it was what I was making, and I had 300,000 or more less followers then. I made more money, 4-fold, 5-fold, 6-fold than I do now because they've wiped us out. Well, Adpocalypse 2 is coming, which means that they're probably either going to start taking gun channels down, or they're just going to give us the gray $, and they're going to take away every penny. And they may even start taking away our super chats, which help fund us too, guys. So thank you very much. I'm trying to keep up with them.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them up there. I'm trying to at least throw them up on the screen for the folks that we didn't get to shout them out, throw them up on the screen. We got one from Forge from Freedom. Let's see. There's. Let me see if I can go through these really quick.
I'm trying to pop them up here too.
Yeah, Just Dano says we need to stop giving excuses for large channels for not advocating for all our firearms rights. Ultimately, so here's my thing. Listen, I believe in freedom. People can do what they want to do. So right. I don't think I could force people to do it. I understand where you're coming from. I get mad too, but ultimately, if you believe in freedom, they have the right to do what they want to and what they don't want to.
Well, so I'm a libertarian, but when it comes to social media platforms, I want to see how this pans out because this is kind of new, right? So the First Amendment says that I can go into any public square and say what's on my mind. And if I want to go out there and say that, 3-foot tall, blue-haired people with one brown eye and one green eye should be executed on sight, I have a right to say that. It's distasteful, it's disgusting, and it's going to offend a bunch of people, but that's what freedom looks like.
We need to know that about you.
Right? Yeah. But, right. That's what the First Amendment protects, right? Mm-hmm. And so the First Amendment says that in a public space, we have the freedom to express our opinions. So when you have an entity like Facebook, which meets every definition of a monopoly, and they squash conservative speech, which they've been caught doing many times, and they've been investigated for it several times, and they're getting investigated again now, and they promote their leftist agenda. Here you have an organization that is the new digital town square that's actively squashing one train of thought, promoting another train of thought, and they're influencing the outcome of elections. That's too much power for one entity that is a monopoly to have, and we have to have a discussion on how we deal with that. In my opinion, they're the new town square. The First Amendment should apply there. But that's just my opinion. A lot of people don't like that. They say, how can you be a libertarian and say that? You have to look at it in realistic terms. I mean, our technology is changing the way we live our lives. We live in a digital realm. I mean, people, if these things got turned off tomorrow, we'd have people jumping out of windows.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and most of us couldn't conduct our business. I couldn't. My business would go away if you took away all that stuff. We live in an online space. And what we're doing right now is the new digital town square.
Yeah, if you don't exist on social media, you don't have a voice. Now, just to bring up something before I get into the super chats that I missed here. If you remember a couple of weeks ago, Trump put out something. Basically, it was a form online to fill out and put things where you feel like social media is coming out against you. I actually put out a statement, which not everyone listens to when I put out a statement. I said I thought it was bull, and I was not going to do it, and I recommended people not do it because I personally believe that all of that is just a way to get your info so that when they're campaigning, they can get in touch with you.
And, it could be. So I went ahead and did it. I mean, I'm on every known list there is. I own machine guns, or have in the past. I sold them all. I do own suppressors. I own SBRs. You know, I've talked to congressmen and senators. They know who I am. The ATF, our local ATF agent, and all levels of government. I have fans, supporters, and detractors. And I guarantee you there are people watching this live stream right now that are in the government that either support us or don't support us. I'm not getting away with anything. So I filled it out. They know who I am. They got my name and number. They got my fingerprints, although I did a really good job boogering up this one, so maybe I can slip by now. But anyway, they got my number. So I filled it out just to see what it was. And it asked a lot of very invasive questions. Questions I don't see how they related to what they were trying to accomplish. They're very personal questions. But I did it just to see what happened.
But also, why doesn't Trump, like, he could go on this thing with Piers Morgan? If he feels like there's those of us that are, you know, on this side, that we're being harassed and subjugated by social media, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all these kinds of things, why doesn't he go somewhere and talk to someone about this? Why does it like, oh, go fill out this form over here on, you know, and we'll gather your information so we can email you when we want your vote? Why doesn't he get out there and actually do something about it? Why doesn't he talk to someone about it of substance, and then why doesn't he do something about it? And so that's my I'm not saying that we don't have the problem. I think we do have the problem. I'm kind of tired because I've been in some of the things that you have where people are trying to deal with this in the past, and it was just a complete waste of time, you know? And so that makes me mad about it, and it always makes me think, okay, in the end, we're the ones that have to deal with this. We've got to figure out a way to deal with this.
Yep, and I just popped up. So I listen to people, and I'll have it, as long as you keep it civil with me. People get on to me about banning people from my YouTube channel or banning them from Instagram. I will have a civil conversation with you. The minute you start insulting me and talking down to me, I'm going to talk back to you in the exact same tone, and then I'm going to ban you. But I want to have a conversation. If you can talk to me civilly, I don't care what you believe. And so here we have Checkpoint. It says that YouTube is a private company. Absolutely, it's a private company. It's also a monopoly. Name one competitor to YouTube. And don't say Vimeo because they're not a competitor because they don't monetize videos.
Yeah,
it doesn't exist.
So, no. They what they're afraid of is that they're afraid of being looked at as a utility, but they're waiting for political cover, and I think they think they're getting close. That's what all these things indicate. Let me get to some comments really quick. James Miller says, if we can't get a Pro-2A Supreme ruling in our favor, the last peaceful chance we have is for states to pass and enforce laws like the proposed Missouri bill that would nullify all federal gun laws. And I know, like you said, you support states' rights.
I do.
So, yeah. And Fortune Freedom says, who's this guy on your channel?
So he's watching me on your channel. That says a lot, Sam.
It is. If you don't know who this guy is, I can't help you. That's what I would say there. And I think I got the one from Just Dano, so we got that. I don't know if there's any other ones. Do you have any other things in there that people...
Yeah, Jim Nugent, who's one of our biggest patron supporters, and he supports us here on Super Chat. I just posted his message up there for you guys to read. Jim, I'm telling you, we got to hang out. I want to take you to the range. I want you to see how videos are made, or if you even want to be in video. You do so much to support us, brother. Jason, I can't thank you enough. You're the best. And I saw the post you made on Patreon. You're right. I wouldn't have made that post. But I mean, I don't know how to thank you, except I want to go out and hang out with you and do real things, because you're one of the greatest people I've met virtually online. You do so much to support us, and it's awesome. It does not go unnoticed.
Yeah. Isn't it, that's the part that really gets to me, right? That there's these people out there that take their hard-earned money. Some of these folks are retired and stuff like that, and they're on fixed incomes, and they're supporting us.
Yeah.
I'm sure you take it very seriously. I take it incredibly seriously.
And folks, I mean, our Patreon supporters we have such a close relationship with them. I feel like they're truly extended family. Sometimes I'll get emails, many times I'll get emails saying, "Hey, Mac, I'm going to have to drop support this month. I lost my job." And I respond to them, "Please don't apologize. Please, I always say, take care of yourself first. If you can, don't feel obligated. Take care of yourself and your family first. If you have extra, that's when. But I would never ask somebody that just got laid off to support us on Patreon. But our supporters are so amazing, they feel necessary to apologize. I get those messages often because they have to stop support because something went wrong in their life. And I mean, it's just amazing that people voluntarily support us in making the content and bringing the message that we try to the world, because without them, in our case, we simply couldn't exist.
Yeah. And by the way, if, for those folks out there that, it's tough to give up money and stuff like that, there's lots of ways you could help here. You could share things on social media. If you have social media, there's lots of things you can do. You could just to me personally, thumbs upping something here.
Yeah, just share the videos, man. That helps a lot.
Yeah, commenting. The folks out there that we meet that shake our hands and thank us, that actually gives me energy. When I see that there's human beings on the other side and they're like, man, I look at what you do. I look at your videos. I support what you're doing. Don't stop. Yeah, I do appreciate it, because I'll tell you something. I'm past my 10th burnout already. And there's a lot of times that I think, okay, maybe I should put this down. And then there's folks out there that I know they support it. Yeah.
Yep, so I can't walk away. I just thought this was an interesting post, and I don't want to get into, because I don't attack my peers in the industry. All the gun channels out there, I support them as long as they support our gun rights. And there are some out there, they're NRA guys. And I can still be friends with them. I'm not going to play this divisive politics where if you say I'm a proud NRA member, that I'm going to say, screw you, I'm never talking to you again. That doesn't help. I want to have a dialogue with you more than anybody else at that point, because I want to try to convince you that there are other options and that you need to investigate this organization that you're backing. You need to take a deeper look. I want to talk to you. I don't want to shut you out of my life and pretend like you're the enemy. You're not. Well, so I'm not going to attack other gun channels that do actively support the NRA. I'm trying to try to engage with them more. And I don't want to point an angry finger at them. And one guy made a comment I thought was interesting. What's your take on Yankee Marshall always bashing other gun channels? See, that's something I personally don't want to do and will not do, because I don't see there's any upside to it. I think it's sensationalism. It's kind of like Jerry Springer's type stuff, right? And I know Yankee Marshall personally. We've known each other for years. We talk to each other on the phone. I have no problem with Yankee Marshall, but I would never do the type of content that he does when he goes after other gun channels. He truly believes in his heart of hearts that he's doing good. I just don't agree with his tactics. But I can still be friends with the guy, just like I can still be friends with Hickok, even though he supports the NRA. It's just two different sides of the spectrum. So,
yeah, I don't know if anyone cares, but I kind of echo that. I know sometimes, all of us as human beings, we're going to get into one thing or another. But I don't think, I personally don't want to build whatever I'm building here based off of fighting with people. So that's the last thing that I actually want to do. When it comes up, it happens to all of us, happens to me. I'm sure it's happened to you from time to time, but that's not the preferred way to do this, because ultimately, it's all of us on an island and everyone else is trying to figure out how to get rid of us.
Yeah.
They're trying to figure out how to program us, get rid of us, confiscate things from us.
It's true.
And we have to think about this. You don't have to get along with everyone on the island. Some people are going to live on the south side or the west side or whatever and not get along and not talk to each other. And that's fine. That's called being human.
Yeah.
But ultimately, there's other groups of people out there in the world and other things, and they've figured out how to get along with each other to maintain the way of life that they believe in. Yep. We're just talking about something that's covered in the Constitution, okay? And we ultimately, I think that's the place that we need to come back to.
Yep.
We need to realize that. Yeah, and even with I know there's people who get beaten up because they are in the NRA or they speak for the NRA, and I don't think it's a cool thing to attack someone that maybe a year ago when they were saying things that you agreed with, you thought they were awesome. Today they work for the NRA or they represent the NRA, and you're like, you're a bastard.
Yeah.
People try to dox them or do this thing or do that thing. I think you can tell them that you don't agree with them. You can make comments and do things like that, but I've
had some of the followers in social media have tried to start fights with me and Colin Noir. I've been friends with him before he was even known on the YouTube scene because he was just coming up. I mean, he just had a couple thousand followers, and I found out about him because I saw his reviews being posted on defensivecarry.com. I don't surf the boards much anymore. And I went out of my way to contact him, and I got him on the phone. He's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm talking to Mac." And I maybe had 300,000 followers back then or something, right? And I said, "No, man, stop. I'm just a dude with the camera. I just want to say I really love your style of videos, the commentary. You have the gift of Gab. You do engaging different types of creative stuff that I don't really do in my videos. How he does a lot of B-roll and his voiceover work. And he's got a very soothing voice, right? That you just want to watch the video." And I said, "Just keep doing what you're doing, man, and you're going to blow up." And he did. Now, he went and worked with the NRA. He called me before he went with the NRA, and I said, "I don't support them, but do what you think is right, man, and maybe you can affect positive change within the organization." And so, to this day, I'm friends with him. And people have tried to drive wedges between us and on Instagram and stuff. They all constantly tag him when I make a NRA post or something. But just know you're not going to drive a wedge between me and any of my peers in this industry, because I'm trying to bring us together. I've had many, many conversations with him on the phone where I said, this is what Wayne LaPierre is doing. This is what Chris Cox is doing. And he listens. And then he'll have a question for me. And we've had 2-hour-long phone conversations, right? I think that's more beneficial than me saying, "Screw him. He's dead to me. He's an NRA mouthpiece, and I just hope he loses his following." What does that accomplish? Nothing good. Right? Yeah, I think that we need, like my NRA, Not Real Activist t-shirt over on the Forge from Freedom store. Wear that to the firing range, not to aggravate people, but to start a conversation. Get people talking about it, because you'll be surprised how many people had no idea the NRA has been doing the dirty deeds they've been doing for decades. But anyway.
Yeah. Listen, I think ultimately we know what we all believe. We know what we all want individually, right? Life is perspective. We all see it from our own perspective. We really are fighting the same battle, just from different points of view. And some of us are going to be wrong about our approach, and some of us are going to be right. It could have gone the other way, maybe, right? So when we were saying, "Hey, this is not 3D chess. This thing that the NRA opened the door to, is not a good thing. It's not going to stop here." We could have been wrong. Maybe it stopped there, right?
Yep.
Maybe they made this sacrificial. They made this sacrifice to Democrats out there, gun grabbers, and then they were like, "Oh, you know what? We'll stop now. We're good."
I just threw up VSO. I just noticed another one of our peers, VSO Gun Channel. Great. If you don't subscribe to VSO, please pop over there, check out his channel. He does a lot of great stuff, and he does testing for companies. And that's something else we wanted to talk about. Let's get out of politics for a bit. What do you say?
Yeah. Okay. Shout out to VSO, by the way. He comes on the show here sometimes, too.
Yep. I just saw him pop in. I got him popped up here. I want people to see him. Yeah. Please go over and check him out. He does great work.
Yeah. So, definitely shout out to him. Check out his channel. He does some cool stuff. Tactical Bacon. I got to get a shout out to Tactical Bacon. So, if you know what that is, then you follow VSO. Okay, so what was it we wanted to talk about?
Oh, we're talking about how all these companies that bring these new products to market, and they develop them in a bubble, and it's just like if you've ever written an essay to turn in at the collegiate level, it's always good to have somebody else read that. You may have read it 15 times, but you're reading what you want to read and not what's actually written many times.
Yeah. And you might be dyslexic like me.
Right. So you hand it off to a third party that's indifferent, that has no idea what the essay is about. They read it with a discriminating eye, and they see things that you overlook because you're reading what you want to see and not what's actually there. The same thing is true in manufacturing. When you're developing a new product, you're doing it with a group of people that are so heavily invested in it, they can't see outside of the box and see the possible flaws. And so when they launch it, you get a product that's a flop, that's plagued with problems.
Yeah.
Right?
You can't have just your people looking at it.
Right? And so this is my fourth P365, right?
Okay, this is the fourth one. It looks a little, is the color different?
6 weeks old. 6 weeks old. I'm going to do it. So many people have asked me to give them a chance.
I'm going to make you full screen here.
Last time, I'm going to do it. Just bought it today or yesterday. Traded in my third one that I fired 50 rounds through. It worked fine. I traded it in for this one, and that way I didn't have to come up with so much money. One more try. But this goes to the point of why don't these companies reach out to those of us that shoot professionally for a living? I'm a brand ambassador for Federal. Federal doesn't pay me cash, but they supply me with all the ammunition I need to keep the videos coming. And I greatly appreciate that. I approach them because I've used Federal my entire life. I think their Federal Gold Medal match line of ammunition is beyond reproach. I mean, every time I get a gun, if it won't shoot good with Federal Gold Medal match, there's something wrong with the gun. That stuff shoots good out of a toilet paper tube, right? So I sought that relationship. So I'm finally glad that we work together. But so I have that ammunition available to me. So why don't you reach out to people like me or to you or to VSO Gun Channel? Right. And engage with us and say, hey, sign an NDA and go shoot this thing and give us your honest feedback. Because I think everybody that follows my channel knows I can break a steel ball, right? You can lock me in a room with no tools and I can break that steel ball within 10 minutes or get it pregnant, but that's another thing. But
well, I was just about to say that.
So why don't you engage with people like us? Because I'm willing to on a limited scale, because I'm not going to charge companies for that because I am Patreon supported. And if I were to charge companies for that, I would have to put it to a vote to my Patreons. That's my promise to them. And the majority of them would have to say they were fine with it. So if I do it, I don't do it for compensation. What's that?
Yeah, I don't think it's unfair for some people to say, look, we need to get some kind of compensation for that. You're asking
it's not.
to take their time.
No, it's not. But see, I made a promise to my Patreons when I started Patreon that I would be strictly viewer supported, and if I ever changed anything, I would put it to a vote. And we've had several votes, and things I wanted to do, they voted down. It was just 10% of them said no, and that was enough for me not to do it. So I just wanted. What's that?
There should be some kind of system here, man.
I may ask my Patreons at some point and say, hey, do you guys mind if I get paid if I do testing? I'll never review the gun. I'll never offer an opinion of it. But are you okay with me doing testing and being paid for it? I may put that to a vote. I haven't. I may.
I would be okay with it just because you have voodoo power. So everything should be tested by gun voodoo. Can you just break this thing?
I know, right?
So can you just break it by looking at it?
So I'm going to put you in a little window here. I don't know what I just did. I just wanted. I may ask my patrons at some point and say, "Hey, do you guys mind?" I can hear.
I
really just screwed up. I just totally.
You just messed up.
I just shot up 10 versions of me talking on 5 different browser windows. Okay, so let me try this again. I'm gonna put you in a little window here, and here's a firearm that I was approached by Kalashnikov USA.
Looks good.
All right, so this is the KR9, and for the longest time, people thought I didn't have one. I had one because that was a product that I desperately have wanted to see on the U.S. market for a long time. That's why I bought the PSA AKV9. I bought that because it was a Vitez clone. It was 70% there, right? And I thought, wow, and it's affordable, right? But I already knew about this when that happened. But I was under NDA, and they came to me, and I agreed to it, that I would test it. And I tested all number of ways, and I found flaws in the product, flaws that they fixed. And now I can talk about it and show it in video, long after everybody else has already done their videos. But I'm proud to say that I had a hand in helping them diagnose problems that if it would have been caught by other YouTubers or been caught by gun writers, it could have been, detrimental to the success of the product. And they fixed it. Right. So, and I didn't get paid for that, and I had to buy the gun. So it's they should do that though. They should engage with folks and get us to test them because we pull a lot of triggers.
Yeah. I don't see how it hurts the company. I see how maybe they think it hurts them. But I think if you go to someone and you say, look, we don't want you to put this out there, sign this NDA, test this gun, and tell us what's really happening with it. Remember, there's ammo and time and things like that go into it. But fine, at least ultimately in the end, someone other than the people who work at the company get to test these things under different circumstances. Some of us are living in Florida. Some of us are living in Indiana. Some people live in California. Some people live in Alaska. Wherever you are, you get to test this thing and put it out there and maybe even get feedback. Maybe make this thing better before it gets out there, and less of people actually being the ones that are beta testing guns that are just coming out. I think I just wish the industry would wake up to this one. I know there's some people in the industry that do that, but I think more people need to do it in the industry. There's a whole bunch of things that the industry as a whole. What are the other things you wish the industry did differently, man? Because
I don't know. I mean, what's kind of funny is once I started the whole Patreon gig, I kind of removed myself from the industry, right? Mm-hmm. I stopped going to SHOT Show, and people say, well, why did you go to EWA? That's because I went with Copper, and we're looking at importing, and that's unrelated to the Military Arms Channel. When I went to SHOT Show, I went there as media. I didn't go to EWA as media. So, I've tried to detach myself. And I go out and I picked up this P365 from Bly's Sports, and they're a competitor of ours here in town. I picked it up from them, and here you can see the little sticker where I picked it up. And they knock money off for me. I'm not going to lie. They give me a deal, and they gave me a good trade in on my gun, so I didn't have to pay a whole lot of money out of pocket for it because I already paid for it in the first one, the third one I bought. But We try to do things so that we get items that are just like how you would pick them up at any other gun store. I completely lost my train of thought. Old man brain.
Yeah. You were saying that you were talking about once you started doing this, you disconnected a little bit.
Oh yeah, so I disconnected myself from the industry, and so that's why I go out.
You said you went to Germany because you don't like American SHOT Show. You like German SHOT Show better.
No, it's a lot the same. You know what's funny? It really is a German version of SHOT Show. Okay. It's just as big, and it's weird because, American SHOT Show is a lot about 3-gun competitive shooting and really big in military law enforcement and self-defense. Mm-hmm. You go to EWA, and it's big in police and no self-defense and really big in competitive shooting and hunting. So the biggest chunk of our SHOT Show, which is self-defense and individually armed people, that's completely missing from EWA. So because they don't have the right in Europe, in most countries anyway. I think I've only been to one country that actually I knew had concealed carry laws, and that was the Czech Republic. But I think even if you use a gun in self-defense there, you can wind up in a lot of legal trouble, whereas here you don't, depending on what state you live in.
How about this in the industry? Can we, the whole thing, what I liked about NRAM is that you get to see the actual folks out there. Is there a way that we can have something like that, but, not associated necessarily with NRAM because it's gotten so political? They kick out people who are selling stuff that they're selling. And, is there a way to do, I know that's not an easy undertaking, but could we have our own get together every year, like Gun Tubers Unite or something?
Well, so we do that. It started years ago when Corey and Erica were still around. They had a YouTuber shoot. I don't know if you remember that. And then
I remember Corey and Erica. I don't remember that.
So they had a YouTuber shoot. I think they did 2 of them, and then Corey got busted for stolen valor, and they went away. But then Iraq veteran 8888, he started the YouTuber shoot, and that's ginormous. It's pretty much all YouTubers from 1 subscriber to 6 million. Hickok shows up. Usually he'll show up for a few hours or at least a day. I see all sorts of YouTubers out there. So there is that, and there are a lot of manufacturers there that are looking to get in front of the YouTubers and meet YouTubers. And so it's a really good event. But I've been trying to get Eric to kind of open that up to the public for one day. But he hasn't, probably for his own reasons, insurance reasons or whatever. But I'm working with Brownells to do something that where all the big YouTuber guys, or all the YouTubers, I don't care if you're big or small, the YouTuber guys will be there, and it will be a public event, and you'll be able to hang out with us and pull some triggers. So I'm working to try to do something like that.
Yeah, that's the problem. Look, it takes a lot to organize those things. Probably someone has to have that job, and that's what they do all year, just organizing it, talking to companies, figuring out security, insurance, who's showing up there, the rules of it. You have to think that the media would love to get in on that stuff and probably figure out a way to hoist us by our own petard, if you know what that means.
Yeah.
Basically use things that we say or do to bring us down, like they do with Knob Creek. But it would be good to see something like that happen where, because it's tough to go to all these different events. I mean, we've got to pay. Every now and then someone might help us out with an event if we're going to hang out in their booth or something and say, okay, we'll put you up in a room or we'll help you get out there. But it's a really tough thing to do. Most of them, we just figure out how to get up there on our own, and then we're running around all the time doing things. I would like to reduce that, maybe make it easier.
Yeah, and see, that's one of the hard things. It's like most of the guys doing YouTube, do it like I did 8-9 years ago. It was just a weekend thing, right? And then I slowly evolved into like, man, I want to be in the gun business, and so, I severed ties with my corporate job. I got laid off, and sold my last machine gun, and got lean, and decided I was going to be a YouTuber and a gun store owner, and boy, did we get into the gun store business at the wrong time, right at the end of the Obama administration and the Trump slump, man. It's been a rough ride, but
you're doing it differently. I think you're doing it differently from other people.
We're trying to. But I mean, and we've been successful. I mean, we're still here. We're still growing. We're trying to expand our operations, but it's tough, man. And it's based on, I mean, I'm to my eyeballs in leveraged in debt trying to make this stuff fly, So, but it's something that more people need to do. This is what's weird. Have you noticed that in our own U.S. military, how many firearms do we use as main weapons that didn't originate here? Have you ever thought about that? FN makes our belt feds, makes our service rifles now. Colt pretty much got shoved out of the way years ago. And you'll know that the innovation is coming out of Europe and not here. And a lot of that, I think, has to do with U.S. gun laws. It's very difficult in the United States to really be innovative and to design something and try to get it into the military, into military service. I mean, the new submachine gun that the U.S. Army adopted wasn't an American design. What's the last American design submachine gun that was popular?
That's a B&T now, right?
It's a B&T. It's a Swiss-made gun, And what's one of the most popular PCCs, pistol carbines out there right now? The Scorpion Evo. None of that's originating in the United States, right? And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that our gun culture is being squashed. Me as a 07 and a FFL holder, I'm not incentivized to try to develop something for our military to use. So our military looks outside of our own shores to find weapons for our own use. I mean, even the Beretta. Now SIG, SIG is a U.S. company because our operations overseas is shut down. SIG U.S. is much bigger than SIG in Europe. It's pretty much not there anymore. So that's kind of transition. But SIG is not an American company. It didn't originate in America. Beretta, they built their facilities here. They issued the M9 since the 80s. That's an Italian company. So we've been looking off our own shores for our small arms for the longest time. But at the turn of the century, we had geniuses like John Browning and then Eugene Stoner. And, what do we got now?
Yeah, guys that invented more things than just like one gun.
Yeah.
BWE Firearms and Parts says Europeans pay better bribes than U.S. companies can.
That could be. It's all a dirty process. Politicians are dirty. They're born dirty.
Yeah, maybe they go to jail less. How about that? Can we say that they go out? I don't know. I think it's probably a little bit of all of that. I've seen different companies get into their different scandals.
Yeah, it's governments are corrupt by their very nature, and that's why I always say this. I love my country, but I hate my government. It's and it's that adversarial relationship that we have with our government that makes Americans unique. Every time I travel, I notice people are trying to understand the the desire for Americans to behave the way that we do. And I ask them very simple questions, and I say, do you trust your government? Oh yeah, our government has our best interests in mind. Our government's great. I run into a lot of that in Europe, especially in Israel. And I tell them, I said, well, look, Americans, it's in our DNA to be distrusting of our government. I don't trust my government. I don't trust them at all. I love my country, but my country is my fellow countrymen, right? My country is a set of values and ethics and what we believe in as a community, right down to the local level and all the way up to the national level, right? You're my brother because you're an American, and I will always back your play, right? But when I take a look at my government, not so much. I have an adversarial relationship with my government. I trust it about as far as I can throw it. And that's the way it should be. That's the way our founding fathers wanted us to be. So
absolutely. Otherwise we wind up with things. I hate to bring this up for people. I know, like, I want to talk about Normandy, but this is one of the things that's going on over in England and other places in Europe. That, like, for example, in England, they voted for Brexit. The polls said, oh, the people are never going to vote to leave the European Union. The people voted leave Brexit. It was supposed to happen. This was like a year and a half ago. It was supposed to happen in March. Didn't happen. Still hasn't happened. The prime minister, she's leaving. There's all kinds of things going on. They want to have the vote over again so they can get a different result. And the people are getting mad about that because this kind of stuff happens. They had a vote, a referendum. Whatever happened, that's what they were going to do. The people said, yeah, we want Brexit. We want to leave the European Union. It never happened. This is why you can't trust the government. I don't think it's going to happen in England, unless the people make it happen. So, okay, I'm hearing some feedback. All kinds of things going on. They want to have the vote over again.
Right.
Get a different result. Yeah. And the people. What buttons did you press, Mac?
I don't know. I'm trying to stop it. I have spammers spamming, and I was trying to get in there because I can't do it from our software to ban them, and I'm hitting buttons trying to find a way to get in there to ban these guys.
Yeah, you got to mute. Yeah, whatever window you're opening, you got to mute it over there. So listen, here's the thing. I wanted to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, let me show you this. It's Wednesday, so Wednesdays I get my haircut. I want to show everyone this.
Oh, this is cool.
So let me know. I don't know which side of my head.
It's that
I think
side.
It's this side of my head. Can you see
no, wait. Turn to the other side.
The other side?
There it is. There it is. Yep.
Boom. There we go. So
now move a little bit to your right.
To my right?
No, not turn your head. Right.
Oh.
Now yeah, that's the right side of your head. Just take a step back a little bit.
Okay, right.
No. Yeah, there you go. Now turn your head. Yeah. Look away from your. Yep. Right there. So you see the skull with the cap on it, and 1644.
Yeah, it's 6644.
Oh, 6. Oh, I see the 6. Yeah.
644.
Right.
I don't know.
Yep.
So basically, that's a hair tattoo. Yeah. So that's D-Day. That's my that's my tribute to D-Day, which is tomorrow. So what's up, Lola? I think the people got a chance to see it. I'll throw up some video about it out there. Did you want to say anything for D-Day coming up? Is this something that you?
Yeah, man. I mean, that was the greatest generation. You take a look at both world wars were probably the finest generations our country ever produced. I mean, it's just I really want to go to Normandy, and I'm going to have to do it because I'm getting up in the years. I want to go to Normandy. I want to see those beaches, but I honestly think, man, I really, really do. You'll never see me cry. Warrior Poet, he's hung around this entire time because I see him posting every once in a while. He'll tell you I darn near cut my finger off, and I didn't cry. I don't cry. If I went to Normandy and I stood on those beaches, I may break down. If I stood at the cemetery, I may break down. I mean, I can only imagine what those 19 to 26-year-old on average men and women were going through over there. And, you take a look at the lives lost and just, during the Marines' island hopping campaign, we would lose more lives in one island assault than we lost in 15 years of war. Now it's not to minimize what our current warfighters do. What I'm saying is our technology has evolved and our warfighting capabilities have been honed to the point where we can minimize our own casualties. World War II was just brutal. It was one of the the last wars that we fought, major engagements, where we suffered massive casualties, and it was volunteers, man.
Yeah.
These are men and women that stepped forward and said, I'm going to go fight. And yeah, I have goosebumps. I don't know what to say. There's nothing I could say that would suffice. I mean,
no,
they're so far above me. It's yeah.
To think about, today we're living in a smaller world because we could travel to so many places, we could see so many things. So in the 40s, we're talking about lots of people that never left the neighborhood they grew up in, and they left that neighborhood to go halfway around the world. Like what happened in Normandy, when you look at the movies, documentaries, things made about it, the way they stormed this beach. The Germans were dug in, and they had, artillery, heavy artillery, all kinds of stuff. The way they stormed this beach to change the course of history for the entire world. It's how people think the American spirit doesn't affect the world. I call bullshit on that.
I've traveled the world, and we influence every country I've ever been to.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the thing. I don't know. For me, I wasn't born here. My parents came here. We immigrated here, and I had to, work hard to get that, maintain it, become a citizen, and everything. And living outside of America, I was born in a third world country. I've lived in Africa. I've lived in England, for example. And I saw. I mean, these guys that did this. There's not even that many of them left. I remember living in England, and we had a neighbor that was in World War II. I mean, this is the 75th anniversary of D-Day. So just think about this, and this is what people want to stifle, I think, out of the world from when it comes to America.
Hold on, I'm sorry about this.
Yeah, what's up?
No, I'm trying to get in here to get rid of these stupid these spammers.
Oh, okay.
So go ahead.
Yeah. So no, I just wanted to say that I think that it's the reason why it means so much to people. I know Walter, our friend from Safety Harbor Firearms. He's over there. I was just telling Mac, we haven't heard. He's throwing up stuff on Instagram. As a matter of fact, I could probably check and see what he's doing on Instagram. Let me see if he's got what he's up to, because everything's about to go down tomorrow. But I know Walter's just like he's having a good old time over there, which I think is good. But he is throwing up stuff. Let me see. I'll throw something up from my phone here. He says he was at Pegasus Bridge today, and he's showing some kind of amphibious vehicle there. So if you check out, that's something I threw up. So Walter's been throwing up stuff. He's having a good time. Hopefully he'll get something out to us from over there. But yeah, to those folks who are still left out there, man, we have to try to do what we can for those guys. I'm into watches. I don't know if you know that, but I have this watch from NFW, which stands for nice freaking, but not really freaking watches.
Yeah. And
I want to give a shout out to this company because every one of these watches that you buy, they actually give money to veterans, including World War II veterans, and help them do things like go up in a fighter plane and all that kind of stuff. Nice NFW watches. You guys should check it out.
Hey, and real quick, man. Babyface P is your guy, right?
Yes. What's he saying?
All right. I just made him a moderator. So Babyface P, you're a moderator.
Oh boy. Okay. Thanks, Babyface.
Thanks for helping out, brother.
Yeah, he's out there. Okay, good. He also looks like you, Mac, a little bit.
Oh, you're my doppelganger.
Yeah.
All right. Hopefully that moderation sticks. And yeah. I'll send you some stuff, man. I'll talk to you offline. Hank will give me your connect with you, and I'll try to compensate you in some way for helping out.
Yeah. He just finished helping me put together a gun that we're doing with Brownells, actually, a 6.5 Creedmoor that we put into a chassis, Ruger American. So I'm throwing that up so people can see it.
Yeah, I'd like to.
He helps me put stuff like this together. He helps me on the channel, so shout out to him. Thanks for helping Mac out. I know it gets, you probably have a lot of people over there spamming you right now.
Yeah, I found a whole bunch of them, man, and one even with Super Chat spammed me. I even posted, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a spammer. A spammer actually paid me to spam me.
To get at you.
I hope you got your dollars worth.
The comment went up.
Wow.
Well, hey, thanks for supporting us. You know what? That's like when the anti-gunners run commercials on your videos.
Dude, I know. Dude, I like during the elections, people are saying, I'm not going to support you anymore because Hillary Clinton commercials are running before your videos. Like, I have no control over that.
No. We can't do anything. We could use Hillary's money to buy some guns. But we can't really do anything about it. So, Yeah. Tomorrow.
What's going on?
Oh, what's that? Lola's saying you should make her a moderator over there too.
If
Are you over there, Lola?
let me bring up my browser.
Yeah, if you see Lola, you can make her a moderator and let her go after some of those. Good luck to you guys.
You know what? I'm gonna have to close this. I'm about to make a bunch of noise because it auto plays. We'll do that next time. Before we get set up,
Yeah,
we'll
next time
set
around.
the moderators.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I
Jason
actually
couldn't be
enjoy-
here tonight.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I enjoy doing this with you. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, so I think that, since we figured out how to simulcast this, there's probably a way we could bring in more folks. And and I don't know what it would look like with 3 or 4 participants, but I enjoy doing these live streams. If you guys enjoy this stuff, let us know. Sound off in the comments, because we're trying to do stuff a little bit differently, and the live streams are kind of it's unedited content, right? It's raw. If you could come, we bring some of our Patreons out. We've done this many times. We bring them out to let them shoot video with us and see what actually goes into the production of a video. And just about every time, they're just blown away by how much work it is just to get a 20, 30-minute video. They're like, holy cow,
Right.
It's, and so the live streams are kind of fun.
It looks. You make it look easy, but it's not easy.
People think that you get your lines right. Like, first of all, I think everything's scripted. I don't write any scripts. Everything's off the top of my head. Most people, I think, do that too. Unless you do the B-roll stuff like Collier Noir did. I would imagine he scripts pretty effectively. But, and we're constantly screwing up what we're trying to say. We always have to be conscious of, the safety sallies out there. So we got to watch our fingers. We got to make sure that the collar isn't flipped up. And like, if you start shooting with your eye protection off, or, all the silly things you got to redo because you got to make it perfect. And it's time consuming to say the least.
I've moved away from perfection, man. I just put a lot of stuff out there, and then some people get on me. And if I did something wrong, I'm like, hey, that's wrong. I know there were some guys, I was shooting something, I had the barrel on the rest, and they're like, why is the barrel on the rest? Hey, it's totally wrong, but in the heat, first of all, it's freaking hot. In the heat of trying to make these videos, it's hot out there, there's a lot of things going on. Number one thing to me is always safety. We're using live ammo. They don't even do that in the movies.
I know, right?
We're using live ammo. The number one thing I care about is that people don't get hurt at the end of the day.
Curtis, you cussed. I can't post that. Sorry. The live streams are awesome. Yeah, I think the live streams are fun because we get to interact with the audience. We do a lot of Patreon live streams, and we got to do one this week that are just for our patrons only. But I get a kick out of this. I think it's fun to talk about news events. I mean, I used to do the State of the Second, which was recorded. I think that you and I doing State of the Seconds, we're talking about news items like we did today, is probably better because we can take some of the comments from the audience and address things and kind of be a little bit more fluid versus the more edited approach.
Or what we usually do. Like, I think, in whatever minutes we got left, why don't we let people ask some questions? So maybe we could take like a question from your side, question from my side, we'll both answer it. I invite people to ask whatever questions. You can ask whatever you want. If you've got some sexual issues, I'm kind of like a sex guru. Nobody knows that. I actually went to the same high school as Dr. Ruth.
Did you really?
Yeah, we went to the same high school, Far Rockaway High School in Far Rockaway, New York. So that's my qualifications.
Now we know where things went so horridly wrong.
Yeah, lots of bad people went there. What was that big Ponzi scheme guy again? That got busted. He stole billions of dollars from New York. Oh man, I can't believe.
I don't know.
That big Ponzi scheme that went down. That guy went to Far Rockaway High School. So
they're churning out criminals, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, it's got a bad rep. Actually, it doesn't even exist anymore.
They finally just said enough's enough. We're out of the business, right?
Yeah, they put it out of business. So let's see who has questions. Ask us questions now. We'll shout you out. And Coffeeholic says Hank Mac demo collab when?
I don't know. It's kind of weird because there's been some really big collabs lately, like Hickok and Demolition Matt got together. Mm-hmm. He's never reached out to me. We have phone numbers. I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, it's all up to the people who do that. I'm pretty much open to do things with people if I'm able to do it. Remember, we can't always travel and fit into every single schedule and things like that. But I think we should all do things together more.
Agreed.
Live is a good way to do it too. It makes it easy, right? You can be in your studio and do work and stuff like that. So, do you have any questions?
I do. So I got one from Will H. Do you think the bump stock lawsuit will actually go anywhere? So here's what's really interesting. So, and I think we touched upon this on our last stream. The attorneys looking at this, and pretty much anybody of a legal mind I've talked to that's looked at how Trump went about the bump stock ban, they've all said multiple, laws, if you will, were broken in the implementation of this bump stock ban.
Mm-hmm.
The grandfather clause was out the window.
Yeah.
We had a law, or it's not really a law. I keep calling it a law, but it's more or less a ruling. We had determination, which carries the weight of law, made where it was retroactively enforced, and then there was no due process, meaning it didn't go before a court like the Supreme Court or a district court. It was just unilaterally decided by the president and the AG and the director of the ATF to ban an accessory. And so they did an end run around Congress. That's something that we have a separation of powers for, and that's why we have representatives. It's supposed to be put to a vote. The executive branch isn't supposed to be able to just rewrite law whenever they feel like it. And so every legal mind that's looked at this said that there's so many holes in what they've done, there's no way this will stand the test of court. And yet, when we went for a stay, which would have been given for anything else other than a firearms case, the stay was denied both by the district court and the Supreme Court. So will it go anywhere? We don't know. From a legal ground, we're on rock solid footing. If there was no political bias in the court systems, and the judges ruled strictly based on law and the Constitution, the bump stock ban would be thrown out tomorrow. Will it go anywhere? I don't know, because I can't predict what politically motivated actors will do. It all depends. The GOA chose the 6th district because they have a history of being pro-2A. So that's why they found somebody in Michigan so they could file the court case there. That's why that district was chosen. So they were thinking about this, trying to better our odds of getting a favorable decision. But man, I can't tell you what's going to happen. It's
50-50, man. There's no crystal ball that I have that I could say to you, this is what's going to. If you really want to pin me down and say, what do you think's going to happen? I would have to err on the side of it's not going to work.
I'm going to stay optimistic. I'm going to hope that somewhere along the line, maybe at the Supreme Court level, that they're just going to say, this can't stand. If you're going to do it, find another way to do it. But as it stands, we're throwing it out. And
if that's how we do things in America, we're done.
I'm going to stay optimistic, man. I know things rarely go our way, but I got to believe in the fight. I mean, I sold my last machine gun and I refused to buy. I mean, not only stupid expensive now, and I couldn't afford a M16 if I wanted one. I could do it as a dealer and get one affordably, but I'm not doing that on purpose, because I told myself I don't want a machine gun until I get the NFA repealed. So I'm going to die probably with never owning another machine gun, but it's that type of conviction that we have to have to keep fighting. We can't lose faith in the fights that we're fighting. We can't go into a fight accepting defeat. You got to go into a fight believing you're going to win. So I'm going to stay optimistic and just pray that things, pan out to our favor, because we certainly stand on rock solid legal footing.
Yeah, it'll be something. Okay, so by the way, people said Bernie Madoff. Everyone that said Bernie Madoff, yes, Bernie Madoff went to Far Rockaway High School. You can look it up. So just in case anyone's wondering, Bernie Madoff, Dr. Ruth, the high school I went to was in a very Jewish part of Queens. So yeah, it was and it was a pretty tough high school, I hear, back in the day. So there's lots of people that went there. Okay, so here's the question from my side. Night Train says, my question: my annual NRA membership is due very soon. Should I renew? I'm going to tell you what I'm doing. I'm not renewing anymore. I never got a life membership, and I've just been renewing all this time. I'll be honest with you guys, I'm done. I can't fund what's going on at the NRA. So at this point, I'm saying no to that.
Yeah, so I'm not giving him any more money. I'm a life member. I'm not going to resign my membership. Not that they would get rid of me anyway. People call them all the time and tell me that they try to get their membership canceled and the NRA won't do it because they want to be able to claim their $5 million. But I would suspect a good 2/3 of them aren't even alive anymore, don't even pay their dues anymore. But the NRA continues to count them as members just so they can say they have $5 million. I know from inside sources the NRA has lost a ton of members, and morale has never been lower at NRA HQ because of all the bad stuff that's come to light, and people are leaving, finding other jobs. Red Ryder actually made a post that's inspiring, and it's just a few short words. Who thought they'd rule Heller? And what he's talking about is Heller versus DC. That was probably the single most important lawsuit that the NRA opposed in the beginning. That's the single most relevant, most powerful lawsuit that we won, that the Supreme Court said definitively that the Second Amendment protects an individual right to own a firearm. Now, that's where Scalia screwed up, and when he wrote his opinion at the end, he left the door wide open, saying that while it protects an individual right, it's also something that they can apply reasonable restrictions to. And that's why I say Scalia screwed us at the end, because that is so nebulous, it leaves the door wide open for an infinite number of attempts at more anti-gun laws. If he had not included that, then we would have even better footing. So we're going to continue to fight these battles in court, because that's what we have to do. And we have to, I'm teaching my children. I mean, my oldest son sits and listens to the radio with me, and he listens to CNN. He's only 10 years old, and he's like, these guys are just lying. They're lying, Dad. Aren't they lying? I'm like, yeah, they are. Yeah. But I'm teaching my children to think for themselves and to listen, because I listen to just as much CNN as I listen to Fox and the other networks, because I want to hear what the opposition's saying and what they think. And I'm teaching my children to do the same so they can draw an intelligent opinion based upon input from all sides, and not putting themselves inside of an echo chamber and just listening to people that have the same opinions as they do.
Yeah, never be dogmatic. I do take a lot of faith from my kids as well, by the way. Like, mine are a little bit older than yours. Mine are 18 and 19, and they're up on all of this. And I don't, they're both in college, so I don't force any of this stuff on them on their own. They're watching this, and it's good to know that younger generations are watching what's going on and paying attention. And by the way, have you ever met Heller? I've met him several times.
Really? No, I haven't.
Yeah. I actually have his contact info, and I was talking to him about maybe coming on a show if people are interested in that. We can probably make that happen.
Yeah, I think that'd be really, really cool to do an interview with him.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll look into that and see. I've met him several times. I think the last time I saw him was at NRA. He's a really nice guy. Let me see. Okay, so someone sent me this, and I'm throwing it up on my screen. I'm showing my phone. So the GOA has actually shared that we're doing this. So shout out to the guys from GOA.
They rock, man. They watch our live streams. They're very engaged. Yeah. And that's why one of the many things I love about the GOA is that they are active in our community. The NRA just wasn't and isn't. They are. They don't sit on a golden throne. They interact. They come out. They shake hands and meet people, and they jump on our live streams. And they'll usually text me. Jordan will usually text me at the end of a stream, like, great stream, man. They watch and listen to what we do, and they're actively involved. And, man, I love that organization.
Yeah, Jordan's one of those young people that gives me faith, by the way. And he recently got married, so congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations, Jordan. I don't want to share too much of their personal lives, but...
yeah, but a little shout out, a little bit of a shout out. So this is the question that I'm going to take here from Eric Gonzalez, and we'll probably just take maybe one or two more before we wrap this up.
We're up on our 2 hours here.
Yeah. Eric says, is GOA going to talk with President Trump about suppressors? So I think that the NRA would have an easier time getting the ear of the president. I would assume that if GOA had an opportunity to talk to him, they 100% absolutely would do that. I don't know if he wants to listen to them.
Yeah, I think that's the problem is Trump is a very alpha male. And Don Jr., you'll see him at trade shows. You'll see him posting. I follow him on Instagram. He's always out hunting. He's always out fishing. He's quite the outdoorsman. He's very much in support of the Second Amendment and silencers and machine guns. Dad, not so much. And unfortunately, Don Jr. isn't the president because he would be more in our camp. I believe Trump's going to do what's politically expedient for him. If he sees it as a way to better his political position, he'll give away the farm with regards to our Second Amendment rights. He is not a gun person. He's a lifelong New York Democrat.
Yeah, he's a rhino. This is what always amazed me when he was running, that the left turned on him so badly. There's video of Oprah in 1988 encouraging him to run. Okay, people ask me why my camera is shaking, which it's doing right now, because it's on a table, and I guess it's susceptible to shaking if I put my hands on the table and stuff like that. But yeah, Trump, Democrat. I think he says he's into guns, but just listening to him talking, for example, with this guy over in England, I don't really think he fully understands what he's talking about. I do think his kids are like that, but his kids are not president, and I don't know if they can actually get through to him. So,
agreed.
Yeah. Do you want to take one more question, Mac?
I'm just seeing a bunch of comments.
Yeah.
A lot of folks are, they're saying support Firearms Policy Coalition, GOA, SAF, the Second Amendment Foundation. There are plenty of good Jews for the Preservation of Firearms Ownership, JAFO, I think it is. There are a lot of groups out there that are no compromise. I side with GOA because they've been very engaging with me. They're responsive to me. If I have a question, they immediately respond, and I did my research on them, and they have a long history of no compromise, but you don't have to back one pony. You can support other groups. But the GOA is a very large organization. They could be much larger, and they can only do that with your support. But, let's get them to 5 million, because I know for a fact they're not going to buckle. And there's a nice video clip out there talking about, I think it's on their own YouTube channel, where you have Dirty Harry Reid and a bunch of the other staunch anti-gunners in the Senate and the House talking about how the GOA is far worse to deal with than the NRA.
Yeah.
And it's true,
saw that.
Because they don't go in with a bag of money saying, hey, let's make a deal. They're like, absolutely no, you're not going to do this. And, we're going to do everything we can to make you lose the next election if you do this. So,
yeah. Someone's asking about Virginia. I think we did discuss Virginia, but maybe I don't know if you want to get to that really quick before we get out of here. And there's a ton of comments, so there's no way to get to everyone's comments. We're going to do this again.
Yeah. We'll do another one definitely by next week. Yeah. I mean, the overwhelming response that we keep getting, we're definitely doing these regularly.
Yeah, we'll do this again. What's going on in Virginia, I think, with the governor? It's kind of weird. This governor shouldn't even really be in there. When he got elected, there were some things that came out about him that usually Democrats would get rid of that guy. All the hashtag Me Too and other things that came out about him, they didn't do that. And now he's trying to make up for that by saying that they're going to have some emergency talks on gun control. In Virginia, that would be a horrible thing. Of course, I don't support that. But unfortunately, there's lots of that going on. And I think, like Max said earlier, you guys have to wake up. We can't really do this on our own, and we can't fight all these battles. We need more people out there fighting, sharing the things that people are doing, and talking to your local representatives and all that, and letting them know that we are the kind of people who are going to vote.
So I got two things I want to throw up here, because I get this a lot. Okay. So folks keep saying things like, and I'm blown away and flattered by this Mac for president. Guys, I would never run for political office solely because I would become that which I loathe. I don't want to be a politician. I have no desire to be a politician. I'm much more effective doing what I'm doing, which is being that rebel rouser that's holding them accountable. I don't want to be a politician. Have no desire to subject my family to that. I have no desire to subject myself to that. And there's much better people out there like Dan Crenshaw and other great Americans that are young, up and coming, dedicated patriots that are very good at politics. It's just not my thing, and I'll never seek political office. That and one more comment is
that can do it. Let's support the guys out there. There's lots of people.
Absolutely.
Let's support them. Let's support them. If you know someone, let us know. If you know there's people out there, help them out. Social media is a powerful tool. Let's help them get into these positions. Obviously we have to check into them, make sure that they're real.
And then here's the other side of it.
Right, we have to vet them.
Jack said Mac couldn't run a bath. So there's the other side. See, so I don't think I have a voter there.
You'll break the presidency, Mac. You would literally break it.
So there's one other comment I thought was interesting, and Tim, it says, Tim, think about going on Joe Rogan's podcast again, guys. I can't go where I'm not invited. I've never been invited by Crowder. I'd love to be on Crowder's show. I'd love to be on Joe Rogan's show. It's just I'm never invited to those shows. So
yeah, and you guys can help us out with this if you're looking at this. On Mac's side or on my side, I think that would be great. I would love to see you on there. I know Colin Noir was on Joe Rogan, and I think Joe Rogan's is an open-minded guy, and he has people from different sides of a lot of different things talking about stuff. So maybe you all, the folks that follow Joe Rogan and follow Lowther with Crowder, get out there, talk to them about Mac.
Oh, all right.
If they hear it enough, maybe we'll get him on there.
So I got Jack out there. He laughed, and then he goes, he was just joking. But see, guys, I don't like come down on people that disagree with me or don't agree with me or whatever. I want to hear both sides of the argument. I am far from perfect, and I'm a mess according to my wife. So, so
that's how we know you're human. That's how we know you're human.
The only two people that love me are my mom and my wife. So,
okay.
And I think, I don't know, I haven't asked in a while. That may have changed.
Yeah. What about the kids? I guarantee you the kids love you.
Yeah, the kids. Oh, man. What would life be without the boys? I love my kids. I love my family. I'm very, very fortunate. But anyway.
Yeah. That's what
and one comment for both of us, man. Great show tonight. Yeah. Glad to see you and Hank getting together. So that definitely means we need to keep doing these, man.
Yeah, absolutely. We are going to keep doing this. I think before we go out here, I want to encourage everyone to follow Military Arms channel. He's on different social media, every single one you could possibly imagine. Just search for him. He's on there. He's always posting stuff. Support him on Patreon, of course. This is a guy that's genuinely out there fighting for you gun guys every day, not just politically, but when it comes to guns, the manufacture of them, all that kind of stuff. I think, Mac's the real deal. So I respect it. I would encourage you guys to support him.
And same thing, guys. Please swing by, check out Hank's channel if you're watching on mine. Please check him out. Support him. You have a Patreon page. Support him every way you can. And he's on Instagram. He's on YouTube. He's everywhere just like I am. And definitely give him a follow. And like Hank said, just spread the word by liking and sharing these videos and having a conversation with your friends on social media. And that's how we get that groundswell of support that we need of people being active and fighting actively for our rights. And we can only do that with your help. We're just two voices, and we can only inspire you to say things and do things that will inspire other people. And it's kind of like that domino effect. So it really is, the power is in your hands, not ours. So keep that in mind.
Only as loud as you make us.
Yep.
We're only as loud as you guys make us. And then for everyone, before I hit the button here, I want to thank everyone in the chats, everyone that supported us, whether it was on the super chats or just with positive comments and stuff like that, the thumbs ups. Thanks to everyone.
Yep.
If you didn't get your question or your comment read, we'll try to do this. I'm not sure, Mac and I have to work out the schedule, but we will definitely try to get this to you again. Hopefully it was better this time.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit more smoother. I think we'll try it. I'm going to try to get Jason here so I can have somebody help out and help find some of the questions, because, man, they're just scrolling by. And really, we're producing this whole show ourselves off a laptop with this software, and we're still learning the features. And it's very powerful and yet very, very cool software. So the more we learn, the more functionality we can bring. I'm sure you saw both of us doing things, bringing up videos and bringing up our phones and, doing all sorts of fun stuff. We're just starting to learn this software. So I can only imagine what the future holds. I'm going to keep trying to learn more about it myself.
Amen. Okay, so we're out of here. God bless America. We'll see you guys.
Thanks for watching, guys. Talk to you soon.